What's up, guys? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Yesterday, I did a chat about transgender people and the leaked memo from the Trump administration or Department of Health and Human Services that people were upset about. And I also mentioned that I think sometimes it would be really helpful if cisgender people, straight people, however you want to call it, normal people, some would say, were to actually have a conversation with the trans person, like how helpful I think that could be. Well, I can't necessarily supply that, as in give each straight person, cisgender person, a trans person to actually talk to. But what I can do is I can let you guys hear some of the conversations that I personally have had with some different trans people, some of my friends, some people that I really respect, in some cases new friends. Like the one I'm about to post right now is my friend Trey, and I met my friend Trey through my friend Lisa. My friend Lisa is a trans woman. I had interviewed her on my podcast. Unbothered by Ty Rivera is the name of my podcast, Unbothered by Ty Rivera. And I had interviewed my friend Lisa, who is a trans woman that I've known since, I want to say I was 20 or 21 at the oldest was when I first met her. So we've been friends for years and years, and she's one of the most open, honest, and cool people I know, all prefixes aside. Not trans people, not gay people, not straight people, just one of the most open, honest, and cool people I know. So, I ended up catching up with Lisa after not seeing her for several years, asked her to do my podcast, ended up meeting her boyfriend Trey, and her boyfriend Trey was also open to being on the podcast. Trey is a trans man, Lisa's a trans woman. For some people, their minds explode at that idea alone. They're trying to figure it out. How does it work? Well, she's male to female, he's female to male. So, he started off as a little girl when he was young. She started off as a little boy when she was young. And I don't say that at all to be disrespectful or misgender anybody or any of the stuff that some people will try to make it seem like when I say that kind of thing. I make it so that the average person actually knows what it is I'm talking about right now. And that's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to people that aren't necessarily the most knowledgeable about this kind of thing, and people that do have some questions, because why continue to preach to the choir? At some point you have to go out into the world and say, hey, you guys, these are some cool people that you should know. And I'm not trying to win anybody over and say, hey, you should think this is normal, or you should want this for your children, or any of that kind of stuff. All I'm trying to do is try to make it so maybe the average person that might not get to know how great some of these people can actually be, they'll get to see that with their own eyes. Which I'm not going to say that the other stuff that you've seen online hasn't happened either for straight and cisgender people. The people that yell at you, the people that get mad at you because you don't know what the pronouns are, the proper pronouns, or how to address people, which I know is sometimes a very legitimate thing. But this is just me. We can work on some of that later. I'm not going to turn my channel into this all the time, but this one today will be my podcast, my friend Trey. It is not video, it is only audio. So outside of this, you're just going to see a still photograph, and you're going to get to hear my friend Trey talk. And also the title of this, which is I'm a dude with the is what it is, was something that Trey actually said himself during the podcast, and it was funny and it made me laugh, and within the context it's what it is. Outside of context, I knew it was kind of inflammatory, but you know, you gotta perk people's ears somehow, and I actually want people to hear this content, not only because of the kind of people it is, but also because I really do like some of the stuff I'm turning out right now, and I feel like I'm showing a good human side of my friends as well as myself. So I'm gonna play it now. Hope you guys enjoy it. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. You can test.
Test.
All right, that should work. And yeah, hello, Botherinas. For anybody that was listening to last week's episode, I mentioned that we would have the other half of that relationship on the podcast this week. Last week we were talking to Lisa St. Laurent, and this week we were talking to her other half, Trey. Trey was just telling me that he hates other gay people. What a terrible way to start. And you didn't even say that. It's just,
I don't believe I said that.
It's just great to just throw somebody under the bus right at the beginning.
I mean, I was going to say I'm the better half.
Oh, okay. Well,
so I'll take that, but I didn't say that openly.
I may have thought it at different points.
It was in my head. I didn't think it came out.
Say it. No, I could sense it as I was talking. I could tell you hated me. I was like, okay.
Oh, you're gay?
Well, some would say that. Depends on which definition we're going with. Happy? No. Sex with other men?
Sometimes.
Well, just one now, but I've cut back. I've cut back a lot. How do you identify, Trey?
Oh, we're just starting out with the questions. That's a good. I guess that's what podcasts are. I identify as queer, but I feel like it's more complex than that, and I feel like my definition of queer is probably different than other people's definition of queer. I don't know, because I guess I don't know other people's definition of queer, but for me, it's just like. I'm complicated. Most people would look at me and they'd say, like, you're bisexual, but I'm not. So, like, I'm just going to put it all out there. I hope my parents aren't listening to this. So, sexually, I'm diverse.
Okay.
Dating, I only date women. Before Lisa, I dated genetic women, or cisgender, as the community would like to say. I don't know.
And you are?
What am I?
Do you identify as transgender?
So yeah, I guess I went straight into sexuality with that one. But yes, I'm a trans guy.
Okay.
I identify as a trans guy. I don't openly say that in all areas of my life, but I'm fairly open depending on where I am.
Are you not open about that in all areas of your life because you worry about any kind of negativity, or is it just you don't want to go into the ask a million questions type?
Well, yeah, I think to a point, I think it gets exhausting answering the same questions over and over again.
Well, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, like even though as trans people, like
well, then why'd you come over?
Well, answer your questions.
Okay.
No, I mean, as trans people, I think that's kind of like part of the obligation in a sense. I mean, education is going to be there regardless because people are going to have questions. But where were we?
Was it negative? Are you worried about negativity?
Oh, yeah. So I wouldn't say I'm worried about that just because I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really care what people think or say. I think it's more of like, I don't want to be Trey, the trans guy. I just want to be Trey and who happens to be trans.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the need to introduce myself to people that way.
Yeah. No, I feel the same about gay. Like, I don't feel like I have to just open with that in every
right, because
situation.
they already know.
I feel like that. I feel like they should, but you'd be surprised how many people will be like, I had no idea you were gay, and I felt like, I don't know what was throwing you off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think I give a straight vibe at all.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm not really in the gay community at all.
Oh, excuse me. Too good for the community. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
let's hear you talk about it. This community you're too good for. The way you fly above the rest of us.
Yeah, so no, I don't really care what people think. It's just I don't really feel the need to tell the world my business because I feel like it is personal. It's not like, like I feel like it's different. Like when you're gay, it's like that's who you love, but when you're trans, it's like you transition because you don't identify as who you were prior to that. So because you don't identify as that person, I don't feel like that's the person you want to present to people all the time.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I never thought about it that way because then you would have to talk about that person the whole time too, or, for at least a good
it's like
bit.
I don't identify as this person, and in many cases I hate this person. For a lot of trans people, like they're not happy with the person they are prior to transitioning. So it's like you don't want to put that person out there in the open and be like, yeah, this is I hate this person, but this is who I was prior to my transition.
Where'd you grow up? What part of the country?
I grew up in Ohio, small town Ohio, like 12,000 people to my town.
Okay.
So yeah, I grew up in a small town. I got out of there as soon as I could.
And did you go to an actual city first, or did you just end up here in Phoenix?
No, I went to an actual city. I went to Columbus. I lived in Columbus about 4 years, and then I joined the Air Force because I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and that seemed like the logical thing to do. So I joined the Air Force, and then I moved out to Phoenix because I got stationed out here in 2006, and I stayed.
Okay. So now you've been here for 12 years, so you're pretty much a Phoenix person at this point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well,
for now.
You know, it's better than Ohio.
Not forever.
Not forever.
Not forever.
Lisa looks off into the distance.
Lisa wants to get out of here.
Oh, you guys both want to get out of here.
We're planning it as we speak.
Do you guys have any idea where you're headed?
To hell.
Well, all
but
of
besides
us.
that,
all of us. We'll do another episode there.
We're
Exactly.
Lisa is not wearing a G-string. They don't make those for her kind.
I'm not part of the podcast today.
Somewhere by the beach, Florida would be nice, but I think we're somewhat open. But yeah, I don't know. Florida, I guess, is what we have in mind.
Miami or something smaller in Florida?
Fort Lauderdale, perhaps.
Okay.
I would like to go to Thailand, but I can't get Lisa on board with that.
I'll talk to you about that after after we're done, because I have a friend that went to Thailand.
Well, I went to Thailand.
I mean, like, he lived there, and he ended up going to jail, and he was talking about how the Thai government doesn't really want a lot of foreigners anymore. So what they're doing is, like, actually living there. And so what they're doing is they'll come up with a reason to arrest you. And then by the time you get out, you're so happy to be gone that, you know.
See, now she's never going to move there. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just don't want to see you both get thrown in a Thai jail, you know? I mean, like, I can even show you pictures. I'll show you pictures afterwards, like, where he was, because it was actually made the news and stuff like that. And he was like, the stuff that they were saying about me was not true, but this is all the stuff that they said. And he was like, then at some point they just let me go. And it was after he had been in jail for a year, and then they just let him go. And that's where he met his wife that he just married, or is about to marry. She's Russian, and she was living in Thailand as well. And he actually met her in their prison.
So she was locked up, or?
Yeah, she was locked up as well.
So they just locked up everybody.
Well, a lot of people were getting locked up. That's what he had told me. You know, I can even connect you with him on Facebook if you want to.
No, that's okay. Ignorance is bliss.
Him a little bit, you know, like. It's good to go hang out, from what he said. Like, and he loved it. He loved living there. So he wasn't a person that was, you know, he didn't plan to come back. You know, he just wanted to live there. And then that happened, and he was like, okay, well, you know, you don't have to tell me twice.
Okay, well, thanks for ruining my life plans.
Well, you know, I do what I can. I do what I can, you know? Anytime I can shit on somebody's dream.
Should I give the mic to Lisa? Because she's laughing so much in the background. I think it should be her show.
No, sometime I'll have you guys on at the same. Are you uncomfortable, or are you not wanting to talk right now?
No, I'm fine. I mean, this is like my third interview of the day. I'm just, you know.
Oh, you were also interviewing, but in a different way, right?
Right.
Okay.
I got a job. Is there a job opportunity here?
No job opportunity.
Okay.
No,
so I don't need to act
I'm
interested.
having trouble keeping myself employed. I'm not giving jobs. I'm not taking jobs. I'm just. Anyway, back to you, sir. You grew up in Ohio.
Yes.
And then you joined the Air Force. And during all this time, you were living...
Yeah, it was prior to my transition, so I was still female, very much in the lesbian community at the time.
When did you know? Did you know that you were trans when you were younger, or was it something you figured out while living as a lesbian?
It's a little complicated. Like I feel like, so I've talked to Lisa about this. I think it's a lot different for trans guys because with trans guys, it's acceptable to be a tomboy as you're growing up. So, you know, whereas like a trans woman growing up as a boy, like, you know, people throw a fit if they try to put on a dress or heels or whatnot. But I was able to dress how I wanted to as I was growing up without a problem. So like I was very comfortable. Like when I transitioned, like my clothing didn't really change. I still have the same bad taste I had back when I was a lesbian, you know, the plaid shirts and whatnot. But,
well, you can get away with that in both communities.
Right, exactly.
Like lesbians and straight men can get away with looking like shit all the time and nobody says anything.
Yeah,
everybody just acts like, oh yeah, no sleeves, great.
Yeah, so
t-shirt, no sleeves.
So it was an
love
easy
it.
transition. So yeah, so I actually didn't really understand that I was trans or that was even an option for me until it took me leaving Ohio and just kind of having time to myself because I came out here alone. I didn't know anybody when I got here. And I actually drove from Ohio to Arizona. And the Air Force the military in general, they have very specific guidelines. Like you can only drive like 5 hours a day or something. So I think it took me like 5 or 6 days to get out here. And that's a lot of time by yourself to think. And that was back in 2006. And I'm slow to catch up with technology as it is. But I think I still had a flip phone at the time. You know, so like I didn't have like, you know, internet access or anything while I was staying at these hotels. You know, like I just had a lot of free time on my hand to really think and finally I'm not saying I discovered that I was trans over 5 days on a trip to, you know, from Ohio
did sound
to
a little
Arizona.
Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah, but yeah.
It sounds sort of like, oh, he discovered himself. That trip from Ohio. Nobody moved from Ohio to Arizona.
Right,
Yo,
right.
come here and be trans.
Yeah, no, but I think I didn't really discover, but I think that was like the beginning of, you know, my time thinking about like, you know, what the hell's going on with me? I know I'm not happy. Like I didn't have any shame in my lesbian status at the time. It's not like I was like, oh my gosh, like I hate being a lesbian. I'm a horrible member of society. You know, I'm not heterosexual. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was just like I'm not comfortable with who I am and how the world perceives me.
Did you like having lesbian friends?
Yeah, I mean,
they seem so judgy.
You
still have lesbian friends?
Now I have a lot of trans guy friends.
Still have lesbian friends.
My girlfriend calls us lesbians, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, she calls me a lesbian, but then she calls me a gay boy too, so she really can't make up her mind.
I love the amount of disrespect between you two.
Well, the funny thing is she calls me a gay boy. I'm like, well, you're just kind of calling yourself a man at this point.
Oh, it's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you see the size of her feet, you'll understand.
Okay. Well, sometime we'll have to give you guys both mics and let you guys go at it.
I don't think you'd have any room to talk on the show if you did that.
It would be great. I could just sit back and laugh at everything. So one thing you mentioned last week is at some point, or this was after we stopped recording, you guys might consider doing a YouTube channel or something of your own.
Yeah, we've actually been talking about it a while, but I don't know that I would say we're lazy. We're just kind of slow to start things, I guess. Or maybe we just have a lot going on. I don't know what it is.
Probably a combination of everything. That's what keeps most of us from doing a lot of stuff. It is like there's a million things that can legitimately keep you from doing what it is you want to do or what you think about doing. Just as far as work, like everybody that works a job has to, you know, just like schedule around it. So there's that. There's sometimes where you are lazy, but I don't even know that it's lazy just because sometimes it's just you're fucking tired from all the shit you have to do.
Right. Yeah, I think we just get caught up in everything else. And I really don't think she actually wants to be seen with me. She kind of likes to be the star of the show.
Well, I don't blame her. No, but how triggering do you think that would be for other trans people?
See, okay, the thing about us, and I think this is why we get along so well, is because we're very, like, we joke around a lot, and we're very offensive
Yeah.
at times. And I think a lot of trans people in general are sensitive to, I guess, the way we are and the way we phrase things. I think I'm a little more politically correct than she is.
Well, you identify as queer, so that usually you're really relaxed for a queer. Because a lot of queer people are so rigid in, like, we shouldn't say this and we shouldn't do this and we should never misgender. And I've said before, I don't feel like anybody's really my friend until they've misgendered me. So I know that's different for trans people, but as far as I go, like when people call me girl or bitch or miss thing or stuff like that, I usually feel closer to them at that point. Even when my straight friends do it, like, you know, my straight guy friends will like make a joke. Like one time I was pulling up to a parking lot with my friend John Carden. He had shown me this place to park that was kind of like a secret place to park your car where you don't have to deal with, like, you know, it being completely packed. And so I pulled up, and he had told me just the day before. So when I pulled up the day after, he was like, "She learned." And it just made me laugh. And I always feel like that. And so I know with a lot of trans people, which makes sense because, like you said, a lot of trans people didn't like the person that they were basically forced to be before. So then once you move on from that, I can see how that would be somewhat triggering for some people. But I don't know. I just don't get the always being offended part.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to find humor in it. If you don't find humor in it, like you're not gonna get through life at all.
That's the way I feel about everything. Like,
Right.
you know, you take things so seriously all the time, and it's just like, at a point, you just have to get comfortable with not only who you are, but the way the world sees you, too. And not so much make that your business. You know, I can't constantly be worried about the way the world sees me or what people think of me. At some point, it just has to be like, this is me, and that's what it is. Like, I don't know if you saw the latest Grindr. Well, you're not gay, or gay man, so.
I mean, I've had Grindr profiles before, if that's what you mean.
Did you see there's this thing, Grindr is apparently making a move towards being kinder.
towards trans people.
Well, just kinder in general, I guess, because, you know, it's such a superficial platform that I guess they've started to see kind of where some people think it's negative. Because, you know, with Grindr, there's a lot of not just transphobia, but there's also a lot of ageism. There's also a lot of, like, if you're too fat, it's like, it's so.
But at what point is that preference versus isms?
I agree with you there. I agree with you 100% there. But, like, the latest one that I wanted to bring up just right now, and now it makes it open again since you've actually had a Grindr profile, so you know how it works, is some trans people, they did a Grindr, and it was called Grindr Users Experiences with Transphobia. And it was different trans people that were, like, talking about how they weren't comfortable with people asking them how big their dick was, or, you know, so you're not just a cross-dresser, like that kind of thing. And I was just sort of like, that's what Grindr is.
Yeah, it's a lot of, if you're going to get on Grindr as a trans person, it's a lot of education. And then on the other end, it's a lot of people being really shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like that's going to happen regardless. I mean, that's how people are. You just happen to be a person of trans experience, so you get to deal with it on a different level than most people.
Yeah, well, that's what I think a lot of people forget, especially when it comes to situations like that, like Grindr. Like, you know, even when you're a cisgendered gay man, you still deal with a lot of people being like, you know, oh, I don't like this, or I'm not into that, or, you know, like when it comes to race, people have preferences about that. So, and I don't consider there to be anything wrong with it because it's a hookup app.
Right. Well, and I don't think beyond it just being a hookup app, like, I don't think that that's an issue, honestly. I think that people, I don't think people, okay, say you're a trans guy and you're on Grindr. I don't think people should be obligated to be attracted to you, you know, at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that someone, like, I don't think, how am I trying to say this? This is really hard to say. Help me out here.
Well, which part?
I mean, I feel like a lot of trans people think that people should just see them as a guy, which, yeah, like, okay, that's fine. But, like, if you have different anatomy than what someone is interested in, then they're not obligated to want to hook up with you. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because like, for me, I am a person that really does like dick. That's just what it is, you know? So I personally couldn't see myself being with a trans man. I actually like dick.
Right.
And so it's kind of, if that's missing, then I'm not going to be down. That's
Right.
just
So I'm not
what
going to
it
be
is.
offended, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're so transphobic. Because you're not transphobic, you're just not attracted to that.
And that's what I don't think a lot of people get. So I'm glad you brought that up
Yeah.
yourself, because that's the way I see it too. It's like, no, I'm perfectly fine being friends. I'm perfectly fine hanging out. But just when it comes to sex, that's not what I'm looking for. And I had it happen to me not too long ago, where I was watching a porn clip and this cute boy was getting it. Getting it. And then the top comes and he backs off, and it turns out that the gay boy was actually a trans man and had been getting it vaginally the whole time. I went
Did it
into
ruin
a
it
gay
for you?
panic.
Oh my gosh.
I went into a gay panic.
You're like, oh my gosh, I thought that was hot, and now I don't know what to
This
think.
whole time, I've been watching straight porn. Which I know that's not the way it works, but at the same time, there was a part of me that really felt hoodwinked. But, you know, it still was a hot scene. So I didn't care that I had watched it, but I didn't add it to my favorites. I didn't give it the little heart. I was just like, okay, that happened. We're not going to talk about it again. But yeah, and so, but I still thought he was a cute boy. And we used to have this really cute trans boy here in Phoenix that was so nice to all of the gay boys. Like, but he just, you know.
There are a lot of trans guys in Phoenix. We're everywhere.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I've met a lot of trans guys in general. Well, yeah, kind of everywhere, just because I think I have a really open vibe. So people always chat with me. But having trans male friends hasn't always been the easiest for me.
Do you think it's because you can't relate to them, like, as far as their past experiences?
No, a lot of times they'll just put a lot on me when it comes to feelings and emotions, and I'm not the most down.
So do you find that trans guys are more emotional than cis guys?
You're not going to get an emotional on me if I say yes. Sorry. Yeah, in a lot of cases they are. They're just more in touch with their feelings, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not from the way that I'm wired, you know? So sometimes it just gets too much where I'm just like, yeah, this is all a lot of emotion that I just don't need.
Well, I also think it's a matter of, like, how far along in their transition they are, as far, like, if they're taking testosterone, you know, like, your emotions change drastically over time with hormones. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you're a different person, but you're not as emotional, you know, the longer you transition. It just kind of, it's hard to feel things after a while.
Well, then you can imagine where I'm at after all these years.
Yeah, you have no emotion.
Yeah, it's just, you know, so it is different. I'm glad you said that. See, this is why I talk to people as openly as I do, because I feel like if I talk to people in the most open way and then they try to do the same with me, then you can actually kind of somewhat sometimes figure some stuff out, or try to, like, or maybe at least a little bit see where other people are coming from. I have one friend that goes on and off testosterone, and that's annoying.
do they have a reason behind it?
Well, one time he went off for 6 months and he said he was just being lazy.
That's I mean, I won't lie, like I've missed like, you know, a couple weeks here and there. And I don't think it's laziness. I think it's like in the beginning I feel like it's priority, like cuz you're like, "Oh my gosh, like I want people to see me how I see myself quickly." You know, but I feel like once you get to a certain point it's like, "Okay, well, I'm here," and it's just not a regular thought. But when you miss 6 months, that's a little extreme. Like you're messing with your hormones so much that, you know, you're probably bleeding again.
Well, we had all noticed a change in him. You know, he had become super bitchy, and we were just sort of like, something's going on. So,
like, where did these tampons come from?
Yeah, and I didn't ask him if he had started bleeding again, but he's very open, very cool. But there was that noticing because you notice a change, you know, when somebody's hormones change, you do notice the way that they behave is different. Then I had one friend that trans man, gay, and one time we had to have a talk because he tried to get sensitive on me when I was treating him like a gay man, like calling him girl and just talking to him like a gay man.
Right. And, you know, I feel like that's more of a common thing with gay guys. They use female pronouns with guys. It doesn't matter if you're trans or if you're cis. The thing that I've had issues with in the past, just completely disrespectful, not in your situation, not like what you just described, but, you know, like when I've met gay guys and they've called me by male pronouns and then they find out that I'm trans and then they start using female pronouns. And it happens more often than you'd think. Actually.
Oh, no, I've seen it happen a lot.
And it's just like, it's so disrespectful. I'm like, dude, I look more masculine than you do, or like than you've ever looked in your entire life. Like, use the right pronouns. You know, it's one thing if I have friends, like we joke around, like Lisa and I joke around all the time, you know, with, you know, I'll call her sir sometimes and she'll call me a girl. Like, that's just like, we joke around like that. But it's a different thing when it's someone that you don't really know on a personal level and they're just being disrespectful.
Yeah. No, I 100% get that, and I've seen that happen. It was weird. There was one friend that I hung out with like a lot, and he was a trans man. And I never, because he was straight, and so just that's the way I deal with straight men. So, like, I never referred to him as she, her, you know, never misgendered him. He had another friend. We have another friend that would disrespect him on purpose. Well, at one point, this trans friend decided that for some reason, hated him and was very disrespectful to him, but he stayed friends with the one that actually was
disrespectful.
Yeah, and I was just like, how did I end up the asshole in this situation?
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and there was more to it, obviously. You know, there was a time that he just kept milking the, like, I'm going to kill myself thing, and I just finally got like, just do it already.
Yeah, that's kind of common, honestly. I've seen that a lot because I'm really connected with the trans community, not just in Phoenix, but all over. And, you know, especially with social media, like, you see that a lot. There are a lot of, and I guess that's LGBTQ, XYZ, you know, it's all over the place, regardless of, you know, where you fit in on that spectrum. But in the trans community, and there is a lot of suicide within the trans community.
Yeah.
But at some point, I think that these aren't people who are actually troubled and are actually even thinking about doing something like that. They're just really trying to get attention in the only way they know how. And it's, you know, I try to help people when I do think they're in trouble, but at the same time, like, there's so many, you know, boys who cry wolf that it's like, okay, you just get tired, you know?
And that's exactly where I was. I didn't feel this person was sincere in what he was saying. It was just a card that he kept playing. And I felt like, you know, why don't you just tell me that you want to talk to me? Just have a chat. I'll still talk to you.
Right.
You don't have to say you're feeling suicidal for me to listen.
Right.
You know, and it was his all the time thing. So eventually I just got like, all right, well then just kill yourself. If you're really going to kill yourself, then just kill yourself. And sure enough, he's still alive to this day.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Sometimes I see him and I feel like, what happened to the suicide idea?
Well, you're going to be a real asshole if he turns up dead somewhere.
Gung-ho on that. Oh, he ain't going to kill himself. Trust me. He'll kill me before he kills himself.
Yeah, we have to worry about other people killing us more than we have to worry about killing ourselves, you know.
Have you ever felt threatened?
No, not really. But I mean, like I said, like I'm out when I want to be and when I feel safe. You know, like if I go to the gay bar, like people know I'm trans, you know,
Yeah.
like locally or whatnot. Or, you know, like if Lisa's performing, sometimes like she'll make comments to the crowd about her trans boyfriend or, you know, something like that. Like in those environments, I'm very open and I don't feel threatened because those are my people. I don't really put myself in situations where I'm open outside of places that I feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
And that's not to say someone else won't out me, but, you know, I work out for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? I don't feel like I look like somebody that someone can push around, at least without me trying to fight back. The truth of the matter is I can't fight, though. But I look like I can fight.
Yeah, you do look like you can fight. You
Yeah.
do. Yeah, you don't look like somebody that would just get beat up, but it's good to know you will.
But if I have any haters listening, I can kick your ass.
Do you have a lot of haters? I saw we have a friend in common on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Gunner.
Gunner, I sorry if Gunner is listening, but I don't really know Gunner. I just maybe know of him from the community. Like
Okay.
I think we're like fake Facebook friends. Like we're Facebook friends, but we don't really know each other. You know, it's a lie.
I
mostly.
know we're not super close, but I know him.
Yeah.
But you know, he's probably not listening right now.
Yeah.
If he is, hey Gunner.
Shout out.
What up, Gunner? Gunner Gatlin, for anybody that's interested, he's a performer, so that's why I don't mind throwing out his full
Yeah.
name, because he actually performs as Gunner Gatlin. Have you ever performed?
I did when I was like in my early 20s. That was a while back. And I think actually, you know, that was pretty much maybe a year or so before I moved out to Phoenix. So I think that was kind of part of me, like kind of exploring my gender, not knowing that I was doing that.
So you're a drag king?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've hooked up with gay men?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have. But not until later in life, not until I was like 27 or 28. Prior to that, I was like just straight up lesbian identified, you know, prior to my transition. I was like afraid of the dick.
Okay. Now you throw
Now I'm
lips to
making
the
up for
shit.
lost time.
Handle it like a real bitch.
Make no mistake.
I'm diverse.
Are you guys, can I ask, are you guys in an open relationship?
Are we in an open relationship?
I'm not on the podcast.
No, we're not in an open relationship. Is anyone asking?
I'm just trying to figure out where the boundaries are here, like as far as what.
We're still discussing boundaries.
After 3
No,
years,
no,
you
we're-
guys are still.
Well, you know, you think time changes things, you know?
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
does happen.
Yeah,
It's
things,
true.
you know, things shift.
You need to
you know, sometimes
renegotiate
if
contracts.
Lisa switched her hormones, so she's, you know, if she's feeling extra feisty, then maybe, you know, we'll go out to the sex club or something. But no, I'm just kidding. We haven't done that.
You guys haven't been to the sex club?
No, we've been independently of each other before we, you know, got together.
And you've had your chest surgery, right?
Yeah.
I figured.
Yeah, this is all man boob. It's not, you know, chick tit. Lisa wouldn't be with me if I had tits.
Lisa, you can only put up with so much.
It's enough with what's going on downtown.
You don't seem to mind.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack right there. It's a lot coming at me.
No pun intended.
I've been in the community for a long time, but I don't know everything. It's the best. So, how old were you when you had your chest surgery?
Oh, okay. So I started my transition as soon as I was just counting down my time to get out of the military to transition. So the entire time I was in the military, I was wanting to get out so I could transition because obviously you can't be trans in the military. Well, now people are getting away with it, and it's more of a topic. But back in the day, like when I was in, there was still don't ask, don't tell in place.
Yeah.
So, ironically, I was into women at the time, so I still couldn't be myself because I dated chicks.
Yeah.
So like everything, like I feel like I had to hide everything. Sorry, I've had a long day. I'm trying to figure out where I am in this conversation.
How do you? We'll jump back to that in a second because I'll remember.
Okay.
But how do you feel about trans people in the military?
I feel fine about them being in the military, I guess. I mean, I think that they should have. I mean, if someone wants to serve, I don't think it should matter, And there have been trans people in the military. I know a guy who actually went to basic training, I believe for the Army, just probably about 5 months ago. He got out on medical discharge before he completed boot camp. But, they are allowing people in. And there are a lot of people who are openly serving at the time. But I think it's great. Like, if you want to serve. Honestly, I wouldn't have, if I could have been trans in the military, I wouldn't have gotten out.
And what do you think if, like, a person's, say, out at war, how would they get their hormones?
I mean, the thing you have to consider is there are a lot of people in the military who are on medication. It's not just trans people. I mean, there are people in the military who are diabetic and other situations, and they have to get their medications too. I mean, I don't know where the line is drawn as far as, people being able to deploy, like, I don't know which medical conditions allow you to deploy or allow you not to deploy, but I don't know. Like, I haven't really thought of that. But I mean, when I deployed, I wasn't on any medication, so I can't really compare to that. But I feel like if I needed to take my testosterone, I could have taken it, and it wouldn't have been a problem. But I was a desk jockey in the military, so it's not like I was out, fighting or something like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't jumping out of airplanes. So I mean, like anything, I think it's individually based.
Yeah. No, I just figured I'd ask you that because, that was such a hot topic. What was that, like a year ago that was such a big thing. And so I figured I'd ask somebody that actually had been in the military. And I know, like you said, that you hadn't started to transition at that point. So it's not something that you could really answer in that way. But you just don't see anything that's really could hold somebody back as far as...
Well, I think it depends where you deploy and if it's a hostile situation. There are too many factors to have a concrete answer, but I think it's just something that you find ways to make work. Like anything else, there are other situations than military. Like you have women serving and they can get pregnant.
What?
Yeah. Well, most women.
Who are these women you're talking to?
Some women. I haven't been with any recently. Thank goodness. You have all kinds of babies.
Oh, how did you feel? Because I'm going to tell you one thing that bothered me as a Oprah fan. Back when there was the first pregnant man ever, and Oprah really advertised it as the first pregnant man ever, and then that turned out not to be a pregnant man, but a trans man that had decided to stop taking his testosterone and start functioning as a woman again and became a pregnant woman, if you ask me, that looked like a man at that point. I was kind of angry with that whole situation.
I don't feel angry about that situation. I think... I don't know. That's a touchy subject. It's something I can't relate to because I have no desire to be pregnant, and I cramp. I have no desire to be pregnant. I have no desire to have kids. So that's not something I can relate to. I can understand a trans guy who wants kids, and it's so hard to relate to that.
But I think what my problem was, I don't have a problem with any of it at all, like the having kids, any of that. What I have a problem with is the sensationalism and making it seem like we just had something really, really just an anomaly happen, when really it was something kind of basic.
Yeah, basic. I mean, I guess I'm more okay with her saying that a man gave birth, because I feel like just because you go off hormones, if you identify as a man, you still identify as a man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there are people out here who can't get on hormones, but they still identify as a gender different than what you perceive them as.
Yeah.
But I don't think that, you know, if I couldn't take testosterone and if I didn't look like this, that doesn't mean I wouldn't identify as a man.
Oh, no, I have no problem with that either. It's just the thing where it's being sensationalized as a pregnant man when it's like, actually, that's not really a pregnant man. You know,
Yes and no.
to me, a pregnant man is a cisgender male getting pregnant. Like, that's something that would be like, wow.
Then
that's
maybe, I guess, it should have been first trans pregnant man.
And that
first,
I would have been like, yes.
first pregnant
that's-
trans man, which, and honestly, like, I doubt it was the first pregnant trans man, because I'm sure the first pregnant trans man wasn't open about being pregnant in the first place.
Or trans in some cases.
Because there are a lot of trans men who have given birth, and I've seen that more through social media, just being on different trans, you know, Facebook pages mostly, or Facebook groups. There are a lot of pregnant trans men out there, and I'm just like, whoa. I mean, you know, I don't feel anything. I don't have any negative thoughts about it. I just can't relate to it.
Yeah, no, I get that. You just aren't at all, like, don't have an instinct to have kids.
Not at all.
Yeah, I want to have a kid one day. I mean, like, I guess that's probably part of why it angered me, too, because I've always wanted to have kids.
So if you could have a kid as a man,
I would definitely.
okay.
So that's why I was
So that
kind of
wouldn't- but-
excited when I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
Oprah saying there was a pregnant man. I was like, okay, there's hope for a bitch after
so
all.
you're just a bitter bitch.
Well, bitter and barren. I'm a bitter and barren bitch.
But not bearing children.
No, I wish it was an option for me, and eventually I'll figure out how to have a kid. But for right now, you know, it would be nice to just be able to naturally, in some way, have my own kid.
Well, if I ever get knocked up, you can have mine.
I appreciate that, but what are the odds?
Well, very, very slim.
You won't get it. He'll be dead.
My,
Won't produce, so he's good.
It's definitely, yeah.
Lisa said she's shooting blanks.
Yeah, so it would have to be that it turned into an open relationship without,
Without her knowing.
yeah, that'll get you killed. And so I had asked about your chest surgery. How old were you, or how far in?
Oh yeah. So that's where I was earlier. I got out of the military and I started my transition as immediately as I could. So it was 2010. I started testosterone November 2010, and then I went to school right after the military. So it was winter break. I actually had my surgery as soon as I got out of school in December, and then I went back to school in January without tits.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was fun.
did it hurt a lot, or was it just kind of?
Yeah, I mean, they cut me open, so it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
I went through my entire bottle of Percocet or Vicodin or whatever, whatever they gave me.
Yeah, I prefer Percocet when it comes to needing painkillers.
Yeah, I think Percocet. Yeah, I think that's what I had.
Vicodin didn't do anything for me. And, I don't, I'm not a person who likes taking the painkillers. Like, I'm not one of the people that would ever do it recreationally. But, when I actually need, it was like Vicodin didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I don't do it recreationally, but I did finish my bottle just in case.
Yeah, well, I ended up finishing my bottle at different, different intervals. It wasn't recreational, but it was like, yeah, I could use a Percocet right now. Feels like a Percocet kind of day.
I had that surgery 6 months ago, but I still think I need to finish this bottle.
Yeah. Well, I definitely, I strung it out longer than that just because I didn't feel like I needed one for a while.
These are expired. Maybe I should use them.
Well, I did that one day because, and I talked about it on Facebook, and a bunch of people got a kick out of it. But I did take 2 Percocet one time when I was cleaning, just because I wanted to get rid of the bottle.
That's 2 is a lot. I feel like two's yeah, that's pushing it.
I just popped 2 quick ones and was like, we'll see what God has planned. And okay, so then you had your chest surgery, and then at that point you were strictly still having sex with women.
Yes.
And then when did you decide to start experimenting with
Do you
men?
want the whole story? I was curious. I was very curious in my late 20s. We're getting how personal do you want to get?
It's up to you.
Okay, so I'm fine. So my girlfriend at the time, I was dating someone while I was going through the beginning of my transition, and she identified as bisexual. So like it kind of worked out very well for me because she met me before and she knew I was, going through the transition. So it was like, okay, well, you're bi, so hopefully you'll still find me attractive after I transition. But drunkenly, we were having a conversation, which is where most of the best conversations happen. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of curious about men because that's, I had to have some drinks in me to actually say that out loud because I don't know, it's weird. Like, I don't know if you've always identified as gay, but like, I feel like it was almost the opposite of a straight person coming out. Like I had to come out as like, being interested in dick because, I had been in the lesbian community so long that was the normal for me. Like, being hetero wasn't the normal. That was like, way over on the other side. So that was like a process for me to kind of come out as even being interested. And then I was kind of surprised. She was like, oh, okay, well, let's try that out. And I was like, what do you mean? Let's try that out. She's like, yeah, let's just, let's have some fun. So I had some fun and I liked having fun. And that just opened some doors. And I've been having dick regularly since.
Were straight men, because I assume it was straight men you guys hooked up with?
No, because it was towards the beginning of my transition. So like, yeah, initially it was. And I guess they just saw me as a butch chick because that's what I appeared to be. And then as I transitioned, actually, like straight men weren't interested. Like they were kind of like they could be very into women, but they would see me knowing what I had, or maybe even seeing it was like, I don't know, like I want that, but you look like a dude. So like straight dudes just weren't comfortable after a certain point.
So then you started fucking around with gay men.
Yeah.
And did you have, because it doesn't. With my trans friends that identify as gay, it doesn't seem like they have trouble hooking up.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No, I mean, so you're a gay guy who just is like trans guys, no, because you're not into that. But there are a lot of gay guys who, like, they're either open-minded. Not to say you're not. No, you're not. You're not open-minded at all. You're a comedian. No, but I think a lot of gay guys might be curious. So like I feel like I'm a safe guy. I'm a safe guy for them because I look like a guy, so like they're attracted to me, or at least I hope they are. And then, it's kind of like maybe they don't want to be with a woman, but maybe they're just curious about, what I have going on.
Yeah.
And it drives me insane because a lot of guys also, we were talking about Grindr earlier. Like I feel like a lot of guys are like, oh, I'm not going to be someone's fetish. I mean, if you're on Grindr, like you're looking to hook up anyway, and you're looking to use them just as much as they're, you know what I mean? Like it's just.
Thank you so much for saying that, because one of the people on that video specifically mentioned that they were like you get fetishized and whatever, and it was like, yeah, that's being on Grindr,
right? Yeah,
there's so many guys that are just like, I like Latino guys or I like Asian guys, and they'll want to hook up with me, and if I'm down to fuck them, I'm not worried about what their motivation is.
Yeah, I'm so offended right now.
Yeah, it's like I don't care. Like you want to fuck?
Yeah, you're
I
on
wanna
Grindr.
fuck.
You're on a hookup site.
Yeah, that's just to bring it back to that really quick. That's what bothered me about that whole conversation was it was like all this stuff you're talking about is just part of why most of us go on Grindr or a hookup app. It's like, yeah, you expect to be, some people are into BDSM, and it's like, okay, well then, you can't get mad at people because they are into that too.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I thought that's why you said it.
Yeah.
that we could get down like that.
That's what Grindr's for. Like if you want to actually get to know someone and you don't want them to put you in a certain box or whatnot, then go out and date the traditional way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to go on a hookup site.
Well, and then, or you can go, if you're more comfortable online, you can go to a dating site,
right.
Like try OkCupid or something that's a little bit more just dating, and do it that way. But yeah, when you're on like Grindr, Jacked, Adam for Adam, any of that shit.
Can you write those down for me? No, I'm just kidding.
Scruff. You'd be more of a scruff guy. Every guy that has ever been on Grindr knows all of them because somebody will.
I only know Grinder and Scruff. My girlfriend just called me a slut right behind me.
Slut shaming. Grinder's your favorite?
Yeah, Grinder's my favorite.
Do you still chat
No.
on Grindr? Okay. Yeah, when me and my boyfriend got together, I was like,
That app
delete
has been
the apps.
deleted.
Yeah, no fucking. I don't care who you call your friend or what. Did you say he's lying? So then, do you ever plan to? Because apparently now I was seeing online that they've figured out how to make a penis.
Yeah, there's a few of them that they have figured out how to make.
The uncut looks more convincing from what I noticed.
So the thing about me is like I don't have any dysphoria below the waist at all. Like I don't like think like, oh, I need a penis, or I'm not gonna be a dude. Like I feel like a man. I'm a dude with a pussy. Are we allowed to say that?
You can say anything you want.
Yeah, so I don't have any dysphoria, so I don't feel the need to have that surgery. Maybe if they had a surgery that I felt was advanced enough, then I would have it possibly down the road. But to me, and I'm going to offend guys when I say this, but I can make a better looking dick out of Play-Doh. That's how I feel, and I have seen some that I feel like were decent, but I feel like that's a big risk to take. I mean, and I have a friend who said, I don't care if it looks like a sock down there, like I just want something because his dysphoria was that bad.
Yeah.
So for people like him, like that's great, you know, like if something is going to work for you, then that's great. For me, like if I were to get a surgery to have a dick, like nobody better be able to tell ever that thing isn't real.
Yeah, it looked painful. Or everyone that I
Yeah.
looked at online looked painful. It
Well, and
didn't
there's
look like...
yeah, and on top of that, there's a lot of complications with it, and there are two surgeries. There are two main surgeries. There's, you can get the what they call meta, which is just basically like they release the clit. Mm-hmm. We're going into details right here. Has anyone ever said clit on this podcast? Probably not.
I'm sure somebody has, but it's somebody else you wouldn't expect to say it.
Right. Okay. So that's just like they release.
Nothing happens the way it's supposed to on this podcast. It's a lot of piecing it all together.
Yeah. Basically, they release the clit, so it's just like a mini dick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just have that done if you want. Like you just want the appearance of something that looks more phallic, I guess. And then you can have basically the urethral lengthening, and they actually basically reroute everything through that, so you can actually piss out of your clit / dick, or as I call it, the click. So yeah, so like you can basically like that's actually a surgery I want to have done minus the balls, because I think the balls are like they form balls. Mm-hmm. I don't need balls. I've never needed balls. I don't have, I store my testosterone in my ass each week. That's about all I need. But yeah, like it's a procedure that just makes bathroom usage a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Like I can go and use a urinal because some, especially gay. I don't know if you noticed this, but gay bars tend to not have doors because gays are slutty and they don't want people fucking in there. But I'm like, okay, I'm a dude with a pussy, so I kind of need a door.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
You're
that's
not going to be able to hang your ass over that trough that they have at Newtown.
Yeah. No. Well, I haven't to use the bathroom.
I hate both of you. He said he has, though. Well, I haven't to use the bathroom. Yeah, I never thought about the functionality of that. That makes sense.
Yeah,
like
so
the
like
gay
on
bathrooms especially don't have doors, and you're right. It's because people will be fucking in them. I'd like to say I'm part of the reason that there aren't doors on some of the gay
Well, so
bars.
am I.
It's good.
I understand it. It's just not convenient.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that surgery, and you can still get erect. I mean, granted, it's not like you're pack in a lot of meat and you can actually use it. But, you know, that's just one option. And then phalloplasty is the other, and that's when they actually take skin graft from your arm, usually your forearm or your thigh, and then they form a penis out of that. And, you know, that can't, like, you can't get erect naturally from that, so they have to implant a device and all that. And it's just like, okay, so like I have the ability to have a dick and get hard, but like I have to manually squeeze my balls to do it. Like it just kind of like, to me, it takes away from the experience a lot. Yeah,
that's the one that I was seeing that looked so painful. And yeah, they showed even the scar on the thigh.
Yeah.
And
yeah, which is fine for some people. It's just not for me.
Yeah. And so does it feel good having sex vaginally?
Oh my gosh, we are getting personal here. Yes. I use what I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you also go the anal route?
Oh my goodness. My mom better never hear this.
Well, don't tell her about it. She won't know. She's not listening to my gay ass.
I'm gonna send her the link. No. I'm a diverse individual.
Okay.
That's gonna be my line It's gonna be my line. I'm a diverse individual.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I have options, you know.
Well, the more options you have, the more options you should exercise. That's the way I feel about it. Believe me, I do a joke about it on stage. Like, you know, if I was a woman, I'd be DP all day long. I know it.
Well, that's what Lisa said she's going to actually do once she has her surgery.
And I don't blame her. I'll be living vicariously through her.
Yeah, you know, Lisa.
I'll be hitting her up for stories. Yeah. Is it as great as it looks?
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, suddenly she's interested in an open relationship after she gets her pussy.
Well, what better time?
Like she's like, yeah, we're... But she tries to play it to my advantage, like, oh yeah, I can get a pussy and we can just, you know, have fun. And I'm like, okay, so you want to include me now that you have a pussy and we can get all the dick in the world.
Well,
I mean, don't act like
she's very selfish.
Relationship now.
No, I don't need an open relationship when I have an amazing woman such as yourself in my life.
That's spoken like somebody that's interested in an open relationship. It's like you practice that in a mirror over and over and over, just like. Yeah, well, maybe you guys will one day be able to explore together.
We'll come back afterwards.
That would be great. That would be a whole nother conversation.
Oh, we could just do a show live. I mean, invite some live members of the audience.
Members, no pun intended.
Members.
So you guys have never like messed around together?
No.
Yeah.
Are you trying to persuade us?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. It seems like you guys have some maybe discussions you guys have had at some point. I don't feel like I'm the first time this has been brought up. I feel like
no, we haven't gone down that road.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, we're open people, so I think if we decide to, then, you know.
And what about Thailand? What were you doing there?
Well, I had my sex change. I'm just kidding.
Thank you so much. That's part of why I ask, because usually the girls that go to Thailand and
it's funny because
come back a whole new woman, so to speak.
It's funny because I had issues when I was, you know, one of many issues we have as trans people, because poor us, boohoo, we had to go through a lot of shit. But I had to get my passport, and I went to Thailand twice. So I went for 2 months like 3 years ago, and I was trying to get my passport situated, and I still had the F on there, and I didn't look like an F.
Yeah.
And I had to go through this whole process, and I had to get my surgeon letter. I had to get a letter from my doctor for my transition, and I had to jump through a lot of loops. And I finally ended up going to Lisa's doctor in Vegas because I needed a letter like ASAP. So I had to make a new patient appointment and all this. It was a long process. But anyway, it was his first time meeting me, and he has worked with so many of the girls in the trans community that he just assumed I was going there for surgery. Like, he was like, oh, so you're going to have, surgery. Good luck with that. I'm like, no, I'm just going to Thailand because I want to go to Thailand because it's a beautiful place.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, like I just absolutely love Thailand. I love the culture there, and I love the food, and I love the beach, and I love how fucking cheap it is.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
a-
a
yeah,
lot of
it's
people
really
love,
cheap,
how
yeah.
cheap it is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a cheap person or anything.
No, but it's great
I
when
have
you
to be
can live like
frugal.
a king.
I have to be
and,
frugal
you
because
know,
my other half's not.
yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
she needs all the expensive stuff.
Yeah, but Lisa's always been like that in all fairness. I've known her for a lot of years. She's always been very bougie.
Bougie.
Yeah, it's always, she had these ridiculous apartments in Vegas that I was always like, okay, I don't know why you want to pay this.
Yeah,
But-
see, we're opposites. So she's like, okay, don't get us a spot in the ghetto. See, we just moved like a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of in charge of finding our place because she had to work during the day and we were kind of in a time crunch. So I was like hoping that it was an acceptable place, like not too ghetto, but in our budget at the same time. And I think I did all right. Did I do all right? Yeah, so I passed the test. So I think my standards have gone up a little bit as far as my living,
I just live like a white man's girlfriend. That's the life I live. Try not to ask too much. Try just one day I'll get a nice little track home. I'll be happy if we have 2 sinks. It'll be
Hers and hers.
Yeah, that's my idea. That's the way I live. But yeah, so so as far as everything else goes, like you're where you want to be. Like when it comes to
I'm comfortable. Like I live my life like I want to live my life.
Mhm.
Like when I'm out and about, like people recognize me as the person that I want to be. Like I feel like I could not have anything else done and I'll be content.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from what you've said so far, especially when it comes to like you're not really longing to have a penis or
Yeah. I mean, honestly, trans guys have it easy. I mean, we don't have it easy because we have to do a lot of shit, like just like even like I told you, like the passport situation.
How hard was it to get, like, when it comes to your being, like, having the M on your ID, how hard is that to get all together?
It's going to, I mean, it's a process of things. It's going to therapy. It's convincing someone that you're male. I mean, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, I feel like there are a couple people who, like, ruin it for everyone. Like, they decide, like, overnight, like, I'm gonna be a woman or I'm gonna be a dude, and then they start their transition and then they detransition because that's not really what they were going through. So then the rest of us we have to go and prove ourselves. We have to prove who we are to be who we are. So we have to go to therapy, and then we have to go, we have to take that letter to start testosterone, and we have to take that letter to have our surgery, because you need letters for everything because no one wants to get sued.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of paperwork, and then, all that stuff I had to take for my passport, and my passport, everything had to be written like word by word. Like, actually I had problems with my passport to the point that I almost didn't make my trip in time because things were like slightly off. So
How long did the whole process take, like the passport, just to get your...
I don't know exactly because there was a lot of back and forth with it, but I think it was probably like 2 to 3 months I was going back and forth with it.
Mm-hmm.
So was it? 3 months. So it took a little bit of time.
And then, like, with Facebook and stuff like that, you've never had a problem just being who you are? Okay, because I have a friend that still has to go by her male name
Really?
on Facebook.
Well, see, I had my name changed in February 2011. Like, everything I did, like, I was on, like, I did, like, a Caitlyn Jenner transition. I'm joking. I didn't do a Caitlyn Jenner transition. But, like, I told you, I started testosterone in November 2010. December 2010, I had my top surgery. February, I had my name change. So, like, I was just knocking stuff out. Like,
That is Caitlyn Jenner speed, though.
Yeah.
Like, because she did just one day she was Bruce, the next day she was Caitlyn.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that is kind of relatable as far as just how fast that went.
Yeah, so it was fast. I mean, and, like what I was starting to say is us trans guys have it a lot easier. And by that, I'm comparing to trans women who, have facial feminization surgery. They have, like, they get pumped, and like you talked about last week, they go through all these things. With us, like, we just shove a needle up our ass, once a week, and things just happen.
Yeah.
Did
you just choose to shave your head, or once you started taking testosterone, did hair start
the
coming
hair?
out?
Yeah, so you sitting across from me with a full head of hair. No, well, okay, my dad's basically bald, and my mom's dad is, well, he's dead, but he's also a bald dead man.
I'm sure he's bald wherever he's at.
Yeah. he's still bald, I'm sure. Still dead, still bald.
It's an accurate statement.
Oh gosh, that's terrible, but he disowned me, so he was a horrible person before I was.
Good, he deserves to be bald.
Yes, he deserves to be bald.
So at least he could
Not
be as
dead.
bald. Dead and bald. That's what should happen to everybody that hates gay people. They should be dead and bald.
Yeah, so...
especially the women. Bald first and then dead.
Yeah, right. Make them live with it a little bit.
Yeah, just
kill them off.
Bald-headed bitch for a while. Then dead.
Well, now my mom definitely can't listen to this.
Is she bald?
No, but we're talking about her dad.
Oh, yeah, okay.
No, my mom still has her hair. It's thinning, but
Right.
she has it.
Well, now she really can't listen. You
And
just said her hair's thinning.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor mother.
No, but when I started testosterone, I had my lesbian dyke cut, going on. And with testosterone, you get that receding hairline that starts happening. And then, I had good hair for the first few years, and I've been on testosterone like 7 years. Well, over 7 yeyears now.
But really, who needs a
Almost
mullet
8 years.
anyway?
Yeah, no, I never had a mullet.
You didn't deserve hair.
I didn't have a Billy Ray Cyrus going
You
on.
didn't deserve hair.
No, but like after 3-4 years on testosterone, actually when I met Lisa, so it might not be the testosterone, it could be Lisa. She could be the reason for my balding. Yeah, so probably about 3 years in, my hair started to thin, and then like I still grow hair, but like it's kind of empty up in the middle area, so like I'm not gonna be one of those. Yeah, I'm not gonna be one of those. So I'm just like, you know what? I have a fairly round head, so I'll just shave it.
It looks good bald. It's
Yeah.
like, my boyfriend, he shaves his head. And
Yeah, and I mean, I have more hair than my girlfriend because hers is all fake.
I hate you so much.
Oh, she's giving me the eye.
Yeah,
Like, I
you're
felt it
lucky
on my
there's
back.
nothing sharp behind you. You just would have...
Yeah, definitely nothing sharp behind me. Did you just call my girlfriend dumb?
Well, you should... This has gotten bad. We're pretty much out of time anyway. Just in time for neither of us to get beat up.
Oh, okay. Well, I still have to go home with her.
Oh, yeah, you can still get beat
Yeah.
up. I just... My main thing is I don't want to be a witness.
Yeah.
I see somebody get beat up, I'm going to be like, oh...
I didn't see anything.
I think they threw something in my eyes right before they beat him up. Because
Someone pepper sprayed me.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just crazy. But yeah, no, it's nice to have another conversation with somebody that doesn't get triggered, because it's become everything. So like, and you mentioned that, which just when it comes to personal training and that kind of stuff, which you had mentioned last week, and sometimes it's like, whether you like it or not, you just have to acknowledge what your biology is so that you can get the best results for what you're actually going for.
Right. Right.
So you can't get triggered when it's something like that. It's like with me, when a lot of times I think about things like how they can kind of relate in my own life when I had to be honest, when I didn't necessarily want to. It was like there was a point where I needed to have the silicone removed from my face. And I had different fillers so that it could minimize the effect in everyday life. Well, at a point when the doctors actually needed to see what they were dealing with, I had to get rid of the fillers and just let it be as natural as it could possibly be so that the doctors could actually see what they were dealing with. So it's like, even though I didn't necessarily want to admit that and look that way at that point, that's just what I had to do, and it's how I got to the next step. So I see that happening sometimes, like when you mentioned with like personal training, it's like if a person wants to lose weight and they're dealing with technically the biology of a female, it's not going to do you any good to be taking in the calories that you would be taking in as a male.
Right, yeah, because hormones, like I know a lot of guys, because I don't know that we technically mentioned this, but I'm a personal trainer. That's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. But, a lot of clients come to me because they are trans and they don't understand. Most cis trainers don't understand how the body works when you're dealing with hormones of trans people. Like, you have these guys who start their transition, so they start testosterone, so they think, oh, I'm going to, I have to eat for a male now. Well, that's not the case because they haven't built the muscle that MyFitnessPal or whatever app they're using is going,
assumes they have.
They're assuming that, you've been male your whole life and you have, the structure of, a standard male, which is probably going to be bigger and more muscular. That's why men, and testosterone, a higher level of testosterone. So like there are certain things that I think people assume change immediately once you transition, and that's not the case. It's a process.
Yeah, no, it's something that I hope we can talk about at some point. I'll end up having you and Lisa back sometime, and if you guys are open to it, like, in the next couple of weeks, like maybe 3 weeks or something like that, and we can all
Should we
chat.
just change the name of the show then? The Trey and Lisa show? Or
Once you guys get it going, you can take it from there. I'll give it to you. I'll be like,
are you going to have any other guests?
You want to know Unbothered? Never doing a podcast again. That's being unbothered. Now I truly am unbothered. Can't be bothered to even do my podcast anymore. Lisa and Trey are doing it, and they're bothered. They're bothered weekly. No, I'm going to be gone for the next couple of weeks, so then I'll hit you guys up and see if you guys are around and available to do it, and then we'll, chat.
Sounds good.
We can talk about other things, and then people can see exactly why I laugh so much when you guys are both here, because they aren't getting all of it. Like last week's episode, I don't know if you guys got to listen to it, but yeah, you can't really hear the other person, so they're not going to be able to really hear Lisa. So,
right.
It's like they miss out on like the silliness that's happening, and they just have to assume.
That's why we need video.
Video would be great.
Yeah, let's step it up.
I'm down.
If we're taking over this podcast, we're getting video.
I'm getting bothered. No, everybody, that is Trey. And Trey, thank you for actually coming over and being so open. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And whatever you guys do at home, stay unbothered.